I was constantly like looking for my husband. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was that girl that would have a conversation with somebody and be like, is this how we meet? Any
You're
person I
Joe
would talk
Goldberg.
to. I in woman form. Like,
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Kindred Project. You may be wondering, why in the world am I introing this? Well, it's because the tables have turned, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are going to be interviewing Jocelyn, and we're starting a new series, actually, for the Kindred Project. It's called AGAPE. And the whole idea is, for the month of February, we're talking about love, everybody. Love is in the air in the month of February. And we based our theme, basically, for this series off of John chapter 13, verses 34 through 35. It says this: "A new commandment," this is Jesus talking, "a new commandment I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another." Then he says this: "By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." The love that Jesus is talking about is that word agape, which means unconditional love. That's the kind of love that we're supposed to have in our relationships. So in every aspect of life, we are to show love. And the Bible teaches that that's how people are going to know that we're followers of Christ, based off of how well we do with loving one another the way that Jesus loved us. So today, we're introing our series called AGAPE, and all month long, we're talking about relationships. In this podcast, part one, we're going to be talking to Jocelyn, and we're going to be interviewing her on two different subjects. We're going to be talking about singleness for a little bit, and then we're also going to be talking about the importance and the value of friendships. Joe, how are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm doing really great.
That was a really long intro, but I feel like it worked
that was
well.
perfect. That was great. You did a great job.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Babe, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
I'm really excited. We haven't done a Kindred in a little bit. It feels like a
I know.
while.
It feels like
It's been a
Right?
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And February is going to make up for it, because this is what people are going to be
Yeah,
getting
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
month
yeah.
long. So I kind of love that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this whole series because it's like we get to spend more time together.
Yes, it's perfect.
And it's
too,
all
yeah.
month long, and we
I'm
have
excited.
like different themes for each one. So
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
And for the first time ever, we're actually going to be interviewing other surprise special guests
Yeah.
on the
Keep
podcast. So that's
Yeah.
going to be really fun. I'm
So
excited for
stay
that.
tuned.
Stay
Tuned.
Yeah, but now we get to interview Jocelyn.
I'm kind of nervous.
Why?
I don't
Dre's
know.
calling me.
This,
Dre's calling me right now.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
live. This wasn't planned.
Dre?
Hello? Are
Dre.
you
Dre?
here? Dre?
Dre,
What happened?
what are you doing?
Gabe.
Yeah.
I'm sitting.
What?
Dre,
What?
you got COVID?
No.
He said,
Oh,
I
you're
sinned.
sick.
No, I'm not sick.
What
He
did you
said
say?
I sinned.
Oh, I'm
I
with.
said you asked me what I was doing. I said I'm sitting.
Oh.
Oh,
I thought he
you're
said I
sitting.
sinned.
Jocelyn and Soph
He,
thought you
like,
said that
did
you
something
sinned.
awful, like,
I
I
thought you said that
murdered
you were
someone.
sick.
I need you to come to Idaho right now.
Oh my
Dre,
gosh.
I swear to
Andreas.
you, we're literally right now. Dre, he's FaceTiming me.
Samuel.
He should be a part of
Dre.
the podcast.
We're literally,
What's happening?
look it, we're right now in the middle of recording a podcast.
Dre, you freaked us out.
We're literally recording right now. Everyone say hi to Dre
Hi,
on
Dre.
on you. That's crazy. Yeah, bro, let me
Yeah.
we're
We'll
gonna
just hold your head
Yeah,
up.
we're just going to place you right here. Dre, tell us what your thoughts are about singleness.
You guys are talking about singleness?
Yeah.
Like not married?
Like those who are not married.
So that's a beautiful thing, man.
That's a beautiful
That's a
thing.
word.
All right.
That's a beautiful
How would
thing.
you encourage somebody who's single who wants to be married? What would you say to them? For
That
real?
wants to be married?
Yeah.
Oh God. I didn't handle singleness very well, so I'm not sure
That's
I
honest.
have much. Yeah. But
Well,
I
that
mean,
makes you a
you
great
know-
person.
what's that?
I said that makes you a great person to ask about singleness.
I guess so, because I get to speak from a place of pure pain.
Yeah.
Your
pain.
Real life mistakes.
Yeah, what's something that you would Okay, let's
Only
change it
people
up. Here's a real question, Dre. You ready for your question?
There we go. Let's go for it.
What is the importance of having good quality friends in your life?
Wow. It's really important.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, everyone.
That was good.
At
You know what?
Dre
Drop the
Linares
mic.
on
Say
Instagram.
that.
That's so good.
It's good,
Huh?
Dre.
That'll preach.
Was that quotable?
It's really important, bro. We should make a graphic out of that, and
Yeah,
everyone who watched
that's
will
the
totally get
quote.
it. That's the
It's really
inside.
important.
It's really important.
It's really
That is
important. Dre.
Dre. Not even his full name. Dre.
I'll talk to you soon.
We're glad you're sitting and not sinning.
Wait, can I kind of watch?
No.
Of course.
You'll have to watch it on YouTube, bro. We need the views.
Bye.
Bye. Say bye. Wow,
Okay.
that's great content. Thanks,
That was so
Dre.
funny.
Dre's calling.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of friendships, that's my best friend.
Wow.
Other than my wife, of course.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
He felt he like you guys were in sync.
Yeah. Anyways, we're back to
We're back.
We're back. Thank you for that interruption. But anything can happen.
Special guests.
Exactly.
Anything can really happen.
This is real life.
Yeah. Let's get into the questions.
Shall we?
All right. Here's the thing. We're talking a lot about singleness, the value of singleness, the importance of maximizing the time of being single. And also, we're talking about the importance of friends. And I love that we're having this conversation because I feel like our friendship, like us and then all of our friends who are in other parts of the country, we have a very unique friendship, but
Yeah.
a very beautiful one that I really love and I'm really
Yeah.
grateful for.
Yeah.
So let's start with this, Jocelyn.
Okay.
Kind of expand upon this. The question is, how does someone in the state or in the season of singleness who ultimately does want to be in a relationship at some point, how would that person find and stay content in life?
Oh gosh. Contentment.
Contentment
That's such a good word.
in the season of singleness.
That's such a good word. I feel like I was definitely introduced to that word last year. How does someone find contentment in
Yeah.
singleness?
Yeah.
I think, not to like hurry up and transition into the other topic, but I honestly think, a way that I have really been on this journey of
Mm-hmm.
finding contentment is by really going deep with my friendships.
Yeah.
I think finding community and finding companionship outside of a romantic connection is just as important as having, to some a romantic connection. And so I think like in the season of singleness, if you're trying to find contentment, my advice really would be to explore and expand like where you're finding connection. And I think like a lot of the time we're discontent because we think we can only find value, we can only find fun, we can only find joy, we can only find excitement when we have a romantic connection.
Yeah.
And that's just not true, right? And so
For sure.
I think that the times that I've been the most discontent is when I have pushed my friendships away.
Mhm.
And I've kind of like stiff-armed everybody and said, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I need to isolate, or I need to, I need to have this time to myself or whatever it is. And that's the time, honestly, I've been like the most depressed or the most discontent or the most dissatisfied with my life is when I've really neglected my friendships in the season of singleness.
Yes.
And so if you want to be a content single person, then really like put value and time and energy and invest in your relationships outside of a romantic connection is what I would say.
That's really
That's
good.
I feel like one of the things. It's like such a loaded question, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you feel like? What do your friendships look like in this season? And what do you feel like the strongest connections that you do have with your friends? Like, what does that look like?
Real friendship and like real connection, real companionship is for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really think that like no matter where you're at, like in your journey of singleness or wherever you're at, like partnership and companionship is for you. Stop internalizing if maybe you're struggling connecting with people. Stop internalizing that and really try your best to kind of get out of your head with it. And because I totally been there. And Soph and I have had a lot of conversations about that too of when I've really begun to like distance myself or whatever, I'm really grateful that I have not a lot of people, but I have people in my life. And I say that too, because I feel like sometimes people, I don't know, think that like we just have like tons and tons and tons of friends that, like not us specifically, but like other people just have like tons of people that they can talk to. And that really is just like not the reality of like most people's circles, right? Like you have 2 or 3 people really that you can be just completely transparent with. But honestly, in times that I've really been struggling, is I've just needed one person.
Mm-hmm.
I've just needed one person to really see me and to care enough about me to ask me hard questions. My friends have seen me, like they've seen the discontentment and they've seen my erraticness, I guess, sometimes. and it really, some of the most formative moments, I feel like over these, like the last year for me, have been not like all of my friends and all these people giving me attention. It was like literally just one person in the car that's like, tell me how you really are doing, And so, if you're struggling or with finding connection, I would really encourage you to, get practical with it, like challenge yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to, I'm going to have one deep and meaningful conversation with someone else, and I'm not going to wait for someone else to initiate it. I'm going to kind of get out of my comfort zone, because what I invest, I'm going to get back. Right. So if I'm being a good steward of my own friendships and connections, then my friendships are going to like reciprocate that, And so, I would, check myself too. Like check, like how have I been with my friends? Cause if I've been like a crappy friend, then that's probably something I need to process and kind of work through. And there's grace though. Like there have been times and seasons like where I've been a crappy friend, and then my friends are like still amazing to me, and I'm just like really in my emotions and all of that. And so thank God. But I would say like get practical and like get out of your head, like and find someone that you can really externally process with. And that could be anybody.
Yeah. You said getting out of your head. And I think that is a really important part, because that's honestly huge. Something like when I was single, I was so focused. Like, my focus really ended up messing with me a lot, and I was tormented by the things I constantly told myself. And it wasn't like a bad thing. I wasn't telling myself like bad things, but I was constantly like looking for my husband. You know what I mean? I was that girl that would have a conversation with somebody and be like, is this how we meet? And it's real. So embarrassing.
The one God sent.
No, it's you, like the you guy, the guy from You. Like, oh, hey, you. Like literally any person I would talk to, I in woman form. Like, of course I would kill
no.
them.
Please God, no.
No, but like it was such a focus of mine, especially coming to Christ. Like being a Christian, you come into this church and like as a young girl, it's like, oh yeah, you want to get married, and you tell yourself like, oh, I'm gonna find the one like when I leave high school, and it's like that's not the most realistic thing. Oh my gosh. But then you become a Christian, and you're like, all of these men here want to get married, and it's not true. It's so not true. And so you're sitting here talking to somebody and you're thinking like, oh, is he going to be my husband? Is he going to be my husband? And I really had to take time and I did. I literally sat down and told the Lord, like, I don't want to think that thought ever again about a guy. Like, I want to see all of these men at church as like brothers of Christ. And so I really had to take time to like ask God, like, what do you want? And I remember too, like I literally bought this whatever this ring is. I used it as like my purity, whatever you would call it, like promise ring to God, and spent $250, which was a lot of money back then, on this ring, and really invested in like, God, I'm going to wait for the one that you have for me. And then I was 22 and he told me 3 years, 22. When did I meet you? I was 25.
Yes.
Yeah. Told
24.
me 24.
Yeah.
So I was 21. No, I think he told me 2 years.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
He told you 2 years.
2 years, yes. And so he told me 2 years. Like, I just kept feeling like in 2 years, in 2 years, in 2 years. And I was like, I know, but I want now. Like maybe a year, but not 2 years. And so that felt like such a long time for me. And literally, like, at that 2-year mark since I got on my birthday, soon after, like, I met Gabe, and now here's the guy that
she met me and she was like, "Hey, brother, nice to meet you."
She
Hi,
brother
in Christed me.
But it's so important in that season, like, of singleness, like you're saying too, like investing in your friendships, investing in what God has given you, and like waiting for what God has, like is so important, because I want God's best. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if this isn't God's best, I don't want that. And as a single person, it's like, I don't want to focus on God's going to give me his best when, you know, whenever he's ready. But like, God, I just want to focus on you. I want to focus on these friendships. I want to like love on your children for as long as you want me to, until you bring somebody in my life. I will continue to love on them. Not saying you won't, but I'm not focused on that. Like you were saying, like the focus is so important, especially like even in marriage too, like in all areas of life, whatever you're focusing on can be that thing that can end up tormenting you too. Because if you're not like with a person just yet, you could be like, oh, well, I'm waiting for this person, when it's like, why not just enjoy what God has given you?
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I love what you said too, because you're mentioning like how contentment is very much found in the place of like community, friendship, closeness, and like finding that before you step into a relationship, because it's marriage and like even dating can totally be one of those categories where it's like, once I get there, I'll be content. Just like people treat, you know, like once I make this amount of money, I'll be content. Once I, you know, whatever, I'll be content then. And literally when you guys were talking, this just kind of came to my mind. I really feel like God is saying that contentment has to be found in the right now. And the reason for that is because, think about it, if you are thinking about the future or something different than your current circumstance is where you'll find contentment, then once you step into a marriage, you'll still have that kind of mindset where it's like, and to me, it's like, maybe that could be a place where people, you know, find unfaithfulness in their marriage. It's like, because they've found a pattern in their life of, I'm not content where I am. So if I'm not content as a single, I'm not going to be content once I get there, because then there is here, and then the next there on my mind is where I think I'll find contentment. So I think there's so much importance. Being someone who has been single and is now in a place of marriage, I recognize like I was totally the person as a single to think about, I need to find contentment there. And it's once I've actually found like my relationship with you that I recognize like God has really assigned for all of us to find contentment here, wherever here is for you in every circumstance. Like I'm thinking of that song, is it Jireh by Maverick City? I'll be content in every circumstance. Like right here in the circumstance that I'm in now is where I find contentment within myself, within God being who he is in my life, and with the people that I have right now, the relationships I have right now.
Yeah, that's so good.
Finding contentment, I think, is the most important thing for anyone, but especially in a position of being single, because it's like, that's not where you're going to find it. You're not going to find contentment in another person or another status. Like it very much comes from recognizing how to be content here with God, with the people he's given me, with the situation that I'm in. You know what I mean?
So good.
I struggled with that so bad. I think too, it sucks for people who like love to like daydream and envision what their lives are going to be like and romanticize that. And being single this past year, and then like honestly like living on my own and having my own apartment and not having any roommates has really forced me to confront this like in my own life. I'm totally that person that's like always like trying to like figure out what the plan is, and I always want to I'm very like discontented in the moment. Like I'm like, okay, only when I do this and when I reach this goal and when I'm this age or when I have this going on, that's when I will like fully, you know, have joy and excitement and love and all of that. And really, like the over this last season, I feel like I have been forced to really, really confront some of those fears, you know, of like, am I happy with who I am and the life I've built right now? And that is absolutely terrifying, right? It's absolutely terrifying to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, am I happy with who I am, with this person that I see in the mirror? Like, and if we're really taking like into consideration all things, that like through every circumstance, everything that has externally has happened to me, I still have to live with myself in you know, and how moments of trauma and heartache and pain and grief and loss have formed me. I still have to look at this person, even though you know, I've lived through all these external experiences. And if like you don't like yourself, because like, okay, we're talking about contentment and finding contentment in community, and in in friendships, but I think like taking it a level deeper, I think that it's so important to find contentment like in being alone and being and in those moments where you're just like, you're taking a full assessment of the type of person that you are, and asking those hard questions. Am I proud of my character? Am I proud of the person that I've become through moments of adversity? Am I proud of who I've become learning lessons even through romantic connections and breakups and loss and all of that? Like, how, you know, how have I let life make me into the best version of myself? And if I'm not the best version of myself, where do I start with finding healing and wholeness? Not so that it sets me up to be a perfect partner for somebody, but just like to be the best version of myself so that I can find contentment in the now. I think, moments of like where I've been most unsettled are in moments where I don't like myself, or when I've had to confront certain things through counseling and through conversations, and where I'm just like, yikes, that is ugly, you know, that I think that way, or that is ugly that I have. Maybe ugly is not that's how I talk to myself. But like it's really ugly, this habit that I have, you know, and I loved hiding behind relationships. Like I loved hiding behind and having that distraction of, you know, someone in my life, a boyfriend. And it's funny that you're interviewing me for singleness, because this is like really the first time I've been single in a very, very long time. Wow. And being in my late 20s, there's so much to unpack when you are single in a brand new city with hardly any friends here, and just it's like you, yourself, and your thoughts. And it's a beast. It really is. Like if somebody is like newly single or is having a hard time single, like your experience is so valid, and your journey of finding wholeness in of yourself is so valid, and it's very messy. Like if some people think it's just, being single is like so easy and like, you know, whatever. And sometimes it is. And like, sometimes it's like, it's like a bloodbath. Sometimes it's like, it is messy, and it is like riddled with mistakes, and you screaming at the sky, and you figuring yourself out, and you like taking a deep look in like how you relate to certain things. Like even too, something that I've like really learned is like my finances and the way that I relate to money is like a very big reflection in the way that I like see myself. Wow. And that's like whatever, that's through conversations I've had with people where I'm like, yikes, this is like, you know, the way I relate to certain like you know, experiences or like pleasures in life, like is like really a lot of the time a direct reflection of how I feel about my life in this moment. And so if I'm like overindulging in something, or if I'm really like, oh, no limits to like, you know, it's like shopping spree every time, you know, every weekend, it's a huge red flag, right? Of like, oh, I have to like kind of like reverse engineer this to really figure out, okay, where am I feeling really unsettled and discontent?
That's really good.
Because it's coming out sideways. And that's no good for anybody, you know?
That's so good. That's so funny you say that. I literally was like, I went shopping the other day.
After we got into a big argument.
Hey, sometimes retail therapy is like a real thing.
It's needed.
And it's justified.
We got into an argument, and then next time I see her, she's wearing a new sweater, and I'm like, nice sweater.
Nice sweater. I was like, I know. It is nice. It's a real thing.
It's totally real.
And that's such a good thing to think about, like, you know, for people that are watching as well, too, to like really self-assess. And something about like singleness is like you get to be selfish, right? You don't have to like really worry about anybody else, but you can really self-assess yourself a lot more by saying like, why am I reacting this way? Like, why am I acting this way? So that's really good that you said that. And, you know, retail therapy is a real thing.
Sometimes it is justified.
Sometimes it is, because it's like, you know, it was on sale.
Yeah, but you know? that's your soul saying, I'm discontent with something, like red flag, red alarm.
Yeah.
That like there's work that needs to be done because this is coming out. This is also something too that's like, when it comes to me in finances, it's not Sophie and her buying a sweater. But maybe. I've had to, something huge that is like, I've had to learn through singleness is like, there are certain habits that I have that I think are like funny and silly and, you know, whatever. But they actually have the potential to be extremely destructive. It's not even that they have the potential, like they are destructive. And that's a huge thing that like I feel you really need to confront in these seasons where like your life is a bit more simple, you know, and so like even the way that like if I'm feeling really discontent in like my personal life and I start really overindulging, that's always going to be destructive behavior, right? That's always going to be a red flag when I am discontent and then it comes out sideways and overindulging and overdoing something.
That's good.
And honestly, that can be all types of things. I know it's like, maybe this is like getting really deep, but like
it's good.
It goes really deep. You know, like you really have to take an assessment of like overindulging in all types of things, you know? And
that's for a lot of people. That's really
for a lot of
good.
people. It is. It is. I mean, finding contentment, that's like transcends like your marital status, of course. But when you're single, I feel like it's very and maybe probably when you're married too, it's like your like destructive habits and your bad habits like are totally surfacing because your partner is this mirror to you, you know?
It magnifies
I bet.
it. Yeah. I was just about to say, like, it's so important to realize those things in singleness because like in dating, though it may be fun in the beginning, then you guys just start, you know, hitting each other different ways and you know like he starts getting on your nerves. Not like you always get on my nerves, you don't always get on my nerves,
but now you have someone to confront you about your stuff.
Confront you about your stuff. And then like if you're not self-assessing like that, like if you don't take time to do that, you haven't flexed that muscle, you're just going to continue to point it back at the other person. Or things will continue to come out sideways. And like it is so important in the singleness to be able to self-assess and know those things about yourself. Because if you're not taking that time to know those things about yourself, like your partner's going to show it to you and you're not even going to know what they're talking about. And they're going to be the crazy person, you know, the whole time. But I think that's really important.
That's why too, like I'm this is like crossing over to a different topic, but I just want to say that's why I really don't believe in like when partners break up with you and say, I should need to work on myself. Like I should work on myself on my own. I'm like, the idea of a relationship, like even like platonic or romantic, is kind of going over your head then. If you really if you think that you need to confront your own demons or you need to confront your own bad habits on your own, that's kind of not how it works. Like relationships, whether it's a friendship, platonic or romantic, are supposed to do that. And so when somebody tries to like whatever, I had somebody that tried to do that to me and I'm like, okay, like, okay, say whatever you need to say to yourself to make yourself feel better about this. But you sound very like ignorant to the fact of like what a relationship really is supposed to do because you just kind of want like an easy way out. You know, that's someone who doesn't want to do the work, you know?
Exactly.
And no matter what your marital status is, and no matter what you want your marital status to be in the future, that is something that everybody has to live with, right?
Yeah.
It's like, am I the person that runs from the self-assessment work, or am I somebody that like digs down and confronts it?
That's so true.
I mean, it's hard, you know, but
wow.
Do you feel like in confrontation you fight? Like, do you fight or do you usually run? Like the fight or flight? Like when there is something, whether it's like with you or with another person, do you feel like you fight, or do you have that flight mentality?
That's a great question. I feel like it's such a process, because I think it's human nature to deflect and like turn it. Also, too, if you're someone, oh gosh, like I'm totally gonna expose myself in these episodes, because if you're somebody who also like really knows how to talk your way out of things, you know, and not only am I a really good communicator and I'm a really good arguer, like I can argue like out of anything, like that also like relates to how I talk to myself. Like I can do like, you know, gymnastics, like, you know, like trying to get out of certain situations.
Crazy.
And oh my gosh, yes. And there are times I've truly, like in therapy, when my therapist has told me, stop doing what you're doing and just like sit and feel the emotion, because you are like trying to like totally intellectuals all of this and I'm trying to make myself sound smart, like in therapy to the therapist.
They're gonna be like, you know what, you got it all together.
I went to school with.
That's what I'm trying to make my therapist, like, I hope she thinks I'm smart. You know, I'm like trying to impress her, and she's like, no.
Wow.
But yeah, like confronting, I feel like there's always the process, right? I always try to like do flips and tricks out of it to like, you know, justify my behavior or make excuses for my behavior, or I deflect and I manipulate the other person, like, you know, that says more about you than it says about me, you know, that you would bring this up. And,
this is your fault.
But over the years and being in a few different relationships, I feel like I've really had to just really own my stuff, and like and this time that I've been single, it's a huge thing in my life right now, is like really wanting to kind of correct that process of just like, I want to be the person that digs deep and confronts, because for myself, like not for my partner or for a future partner or for anyone else. Like I want to be able to like enjoy being on my own, enjoy who I am and be proud of who I am. And I know that the work is hard now to confront, but I'm going to be so blessed after it. And I'm going to be I'm going to have so much capacity to experience just all the love that God has for me on every plane, right? Like in every relationships, if I do the work and I dig deep, then that actually grows my capacity to experience joy and life and laughter and lightness, and it's only though when I dig deep and confront, you know, the more I put it off and the more I run, it's like it's shrinking my capacity actually to let in the love, you know, which is what everybody ultimately really wants, you know. So it's like counterproductive. Like just do the work, self-assess, confront your stuff, and like do the work.
That's so good.
That is really good.
What about you? Do you think fight or flight?
It depends. I would say with you, I naturally
flight or freeze. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Freeze is the other one.
That's really good.
Flight or freeze. I would say with you, it depends. It for sure depends. But with you, I fly. I'm a flight person. I'm very much a flight person. And the thing is, I think we learned this in Love and Respect or something like that, in one of the books where we've learned about, you know, like how different couples argue. With men, when fight mode kicks in, literally their adrenaline starts to to pump, and they get hot and warm and like aggressive. Like that happens within a guy.
Whoa.
That's like literally like a genetic thing, or I don't know if it's genetic, but it's like literally like a thing that happens within a guy when they get into a fight. And so oftentimes guys will leave rooms that they feel like disrespected in because they don't want to take flight. They don't want to like go off. They don't want that heat to kind of like boil over and like come out. So for me, a lot of times I try to fly out of the situation because as soon as an argument like kicks in, immediately I feel the heat and I feel my heart start to race and the adrenaline going, and I don't want to unleash. And so I oftentimes I'll just fly or I'll freeze and I'll just blank stare because I just don't want to. And then after a while, once I'm able to calm down, I can actually have like an intellectual conversation.
Yeah.
I don't disrespect you that much. I'm just kidding. You're like, ha. But no, that's good. That's good. Like, that I remember reading that and thinking like, wow, that's crazy that like for men too, like there is like this adrenaline that kind of goes. And I remember you telling me like, I just need to be able to calm down for a little bit. And that's good for me to know as well too, like when you're being quiet, instead of me continuing to push those buttons, like
it's crazy to me to think, it's crazy for me to think that like women can actually like, that's why like there's really good like statements that are said by women in like very logical sense, like during arguments, because you don't have that. Yeah. And to me, like a guy just sees red and doesn't say anything intellectual at all. I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, I'm angry. Like, that's so interesting to me.
Yeah. Like, not that I thrive in confrontation, but like I think we are very different in confrontation.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like I'm thinking like, we're not having a fight. We're having a conversation. And for you, it's like, we're having a fight. She's fighting with me right now.
Yeah.
And so I have to like think like, what are you thinking in that time frame?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like for me, when I'm having problems with myself, like I fight. I'm more of like a fighter. Like I will confront what's going on. I'll sit and self-assess. Like that's one of the things that I like tried my best to learn even before being in a relationship. Like I want to learn how to evaluate what's going on in my world. Like I want to know like, wow, I feel like that because, you know, this happened, or like, wow, like this is coming up because of this. So like with myself, I feel like I fight. And then if I'm wrong in a situation, like when, you know, I'm wrong with him, there's like this fight flight where you start saying like intellectual things. And to me, it doesn't make sense, but I'm going to say it because maybe it's making sense to him and he won't say anything about it. And a lot of times like, what are you saying? And I'm like, you don't understand.
You don't get it.
You don't get it. You know what? Just I am right. So
the reason it's important for us to talk about that is because while you're single, it's important to understand how you argue. So that way you can actually have
trying to bring it back.
An intellectual conversation with your person.
But it is important
because you have to be able to be very self-aware. That's probably because a question that we have is, how do you maximize your time? If your ultimate goal is to be in a relationship and someone's currently single, what's the best way to maximize your time and to maximize the season that you're in? And I think a big part of that is definitely learning and becoming more and more self-aware, like fully understanding yourself. So that way, when you enter into a relationship, you can kind of give your partner like a 411, like a download on like, this is who I am. And just kind of show them like, this is who you're going to experience when you experience all of me in different aspects of life. What would you say to that? How do you maximize the season of singleness?
Maximize. I would say have like the most fun
That's good.
you could possibly have. Do the craziest things. Do the most manic things. Like do the most irrational things. I mean, like truly, because like get it, like just do it. If there's something that you wanted to do, if you wanted to pick up a hobby that costs you money, if there's if you want to book a flight, if you want to, you know, whatever, like do it now. And not for two reasons, because one, like tomorrow is not promised, you know, and stop putting off the things that like your heart is really crying out for. Like just, you know, your life is going to feel more full when you step outside that comfort zone and really are intentional about investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing is like, I want to invest in myself. Like I want to invest in myself when it comes to experiences, like I like 2021, like there were a few things that I did that I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they were like the most like fulfilling experiences, or like the most crazy fun, like gave me like the craziest stories, and like I did it for the plot, and that I did it for the story. I did it so like I could say I did it,
Yeah.
And honestly, those experiences make my life feel so full.
Yeah.
And I love that I have the ability, and thank God, like I'm blessed enough to do that. But like I would say like really invest in yourself when it comes to experiences. Like
That's
experience it all. If you are someone that wants to be married or wants to be in a relationship or connection with someone in the future, you are not going to have the money that you have now and the freedom that you have now. Like you just aren't.
Yeah.
So do it now, and before you have somebody like in your business asking you, why are you doing this, and or saying we can't afford this, just do it now, and like fill your life with like experiences and stories and adventure and beautiful conversations with people that you love. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's
I don't
good.
know if that's like the best thing, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How would you add to that? What would you say to people to maximize the season of singleness?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. That's really important.
It is.
I would just saying like really invest in your relationship with Jesus. Like that was something that helped me a lot going into that next season. Really investing time with just like serving the Lord and loving on God, and loving on my friends, because like that is what kind of taught me who I was as well too. Like your friendships, like your best friend, like the way that you guys interact with one another, it really does teach you. And I think I remember you saying it, like your friendships really teach you how you are in a relationship, though it's not the same as a romantic relationship. Those are kind of like the practices for people that like are not in a relationship just yet. Like how do you interact with your friends? Like, that's really good. I would say that's of course super important, and of course like investing in yourself, like you're saying, like it's so important to take this time. Like you could do those fun things when you're dating and when you're married and stuff like that too, but it is different. Like changing your career like is very different when you're married and like your money's all tied together, or you're even dating, it's very different. Like marriage and dating can get really expensive, especially because you want to like treat your other person. Like take that time to treat yourself. Like really date yourself. Like that's what I would say. Date yourself. Like the money that you have, take yourself out to go get your nails done, like to go get a nice dinner. Like this is stuff that you get to do for you. And I think singleness is such a beautiful season, and I wish I took a lot more time like in being content in singleness, because like it was a lot of fun, like being able to just like leave in the middle of the night and not have to tell somebody like where I'm at or when I'm coming home. Like I can still do this stuff now. Like it's great. But, and when you're single, it's like, wow, like this fun adventure, like go with your friends to the city. Like you guys get to just leave. And so it's a very different season, and it's one that people will like miss too, like it's hard to think of it when you're in the season of being single, but you will miss that season, though you'll love the next season that you're in, dating, marriage, but you'll miss that season of singleness. For those single people to say like, oh wow, I am in a good season. Like every season is a good season. So that's what I would say, just like enjoying what you got. What about you?
It's good. I would tack on, because I agree with all of those things, but I think specifically I want to talk to in mind, I have the men, but I'm sure this actually applies to like women as well. But for all the men who are single, I would say a big thing is to learn responsibility and learn self-leadership, because a big thing is like you're not just going to spontaneously become responsible and a good leader the moment that you start dating a girl or the moment that you actually step into marriage. You need to learn how to be self-disciplined and responsible beforehand, so that way you can actually step in once you've already develop those things for yourself, you can step into a relationship and actually have those things. Because if you're going to lead a home, if you're going to lead your spouse, if you're going to actually do what God's called you to do, it starts with you being able to do that for yourself. Because you're not going to be able to do that for someone else until you learn how to do that for yourself. So my biggest thing is like learn responsibility, learn leadership, and learn self-awareness. Like we talked about before, like that's probably one of my biggest things is I recognized in marriage how much I didn't spend time before marriage investing in my own self-awareness. And there was things that came up and I'm like, why am I like that? Or why am I doing this? And it took Sophie, which I'm really grateful for, because of course, like relationship will totally bring this out of you as well. But it really took me in marriage to recognize I didn't spend time really before marriage investing in my own self-awareness. So I kind of came in and just kind of presented myself like, this is what you got. And I couldn't really tell her like, these are the things that like, these are what like things that make me tick. These are things that, you know, like I struggle with. I had to kind of develop a conscious understanding of those in relationships. So for men and women who are getting ready for a relationship and that's your heart's desire, I would say take some time and really become self-aware, because I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
Wow, that's so good. That's good. And that works for women too. Just like knowing yourself before getting in a relationship, because a lot of the time, like I've had that same thing too, where I thought I knew myself well enough, and then you start kind of molding yourself in your marriage, in your relationship. Like you start kind of losing yourself sometimes too. So that it's really important for men and women to just like know who you are and have that established. What do you like? What do you not like? So that it's not like you're changing things for another person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because and I think friendships really do help you with self-awareness too.
Yeah,
they do.
Like when you really open those doors of honesty with a friend and saying, "Hey, I really need you to like help me," and kind of call me out on some sort of blind spot. I love what Sophie was saying too. That really like investing in friendships, I think, is just so important. And like your friendships and the way that you place value on friendships like really does show you how you're going to place value on any form of connection. But they also like are huge indicators of where you're at in your self-awareness.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like for women's friendships, like like if you have friends, like we have friends, everybody's like your girlfriends are like deeply involved in your emotional health and your mental health and what's going on with you. And so really lean on the people around you to like, I think it's great to have those conversations, say, hey, I really want to get better at being self-aware. And too, like not just like for people who like want to be in a relationship, like I can't say that enough. You know, there's a lot of people that are single and they're gonna forever be single because they want to be single. You know,
that's true.
And or just life, you know, and self-awareness is so huge.
Yeah. I have 2 questions for the two of you, and then we can close up shop.
Yeah.
One question for Joe, one question for Soph. Take 60 seconds to see if you can knock this out. Jocelyn, what would you say it takes to be a good friend? And then Sophie, how does someone find good friends? Joe, what does it take to be a good friend?
What it takes to be a good friend is to be this might sound like fake deep, but it's not fake deep. It's just deep. What it takes to be a good friend is to be a radical protector of people's hearts, like a radical protector, someone that is more concerned with how you're hurting, how my friend is hurting, how my friend is stressed, how like that is like I think agape, you know, like that I'm so my eyes are so not fixated on myself in this conversation or in this moment. All of my like you have all my energy, all my attention, my loyalty, like. And when I began to like really operate as like someone that loves and lives to protect like the hearts around me,
Yeah.
I behave differently, right? Because if I'm protecting Soph, then that means that I'm going to do my best, like my utmost, to make sure that I honor her, that she feels loved by me, she feels heard by me. I'm not like speaking over her. I'm learning her love language. Like I'm learning how she ticks, how she likes to be communicated. Like as a friend, like I'm if I'm like committed to Soph and saying like I'm committed to being like a protector of Sophia, then I'm going to take the time to like learn her and love her well, right?
Good. That's really good.
That's what I would say.
Wow, that's really good. That's really good.
Was that
That's
60
literally that's literally fantastic.
No, I know.
That's probably some of the greatest advice, literally, that I think I've ever heard.
Really?
On being
Yeah.
a friend.
Wow.
I'm serious.
It was a great
that.
question.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that, but it's really good.
That's some Holy Spirit activate right there.
Holy Spirit.
Come
activate,
on.
yeah.
Wow. What
All
was my
right.
question again?
Your question is, how does someone find good friends, quality friends that they can get what Jocelyn is talking about for themselves?
Yeah. I would say like how to find good friends is like to continue to be open, you know, like to continue to open yourself up to people and be willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
'Cause like, yes, there's a give and take when it comes to friendship, to be that, like, you know, to be fully invested in your friendships. There's that portion of it, but then to go out and find friends can be very hard.
Sure.
You know, it can be
takes
very
time.
hard. It does take time, and to be willing to be patient as well too, but being patient with being open, with being okay with being vulnerable, with possibly being hurt, you know. And with finding good friends, I feel like there's opportunities for everyone to find good friends. And your good friends are sometimes going to hurt you as well too. There's opportunities for that, for you to fight with your friends, for you guys to have amazing moments where you're crying over things, and then, you know, crying over being upset with one another. But I think it's just that willingness to constantly be open to looking for those friendships as well too, and then to invest, you know, invest that time. To find a good friend means to invest time. And a lot of the times we think like, oh, okay, a friend's going to come to me and we're just going to click and this is what's going to happen.
A microwave friend. Like I just put 5 seconds in, boom.
Boom, it's done. Yeah. And it's like, okay, no, like there's a huge investment that I have to have. There's a lot of patience that I have to have with them too, because I'm not expecting them to just open up right away. And I'm not expecting to just open up right away as well too. So I think a big part of it, finding good friends, is being patient. And like a big part of it too is discernment, you know, like also understanding like what, you know, you're receiving from this friendship, and if it is a friendship, and then taking time to really invest in yourself as well too, because if you know who you are, like, you know the type of friend that you can be and the type of friends that you need in your life. You know, because like if in this season I need friends that are fully invested in my world, then like you'll know to find that, and that will find you. And a lot of the times, like, the friends that come to you are the kind of friend that you are as well. So, investing time in yourself is really important too.
Good.
Yeah. I love the mutuality of friendship, the give and take, it's just this constant building of one another. And it's so important for those who feel like they've had a hard time finding friends to do that, to really take time to invest in yourself, understand yourself, and be the kind of friend that you want to receive to other people, because that's so key. I love it. Well, you guys, we're going to wrap this up right here. This has been episode 1 of the AGAPE series, where we're talking all about love and relationships. Join us next Sunday as we talk about dating with these 2 amazing people, and of course with me as well, myself. I'm so excited. It's going to be really fun. We love you guys so much. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, you guys.